Hello YouTube! It is Thursday night and we're going to try and play a little bit of Phantasy Star Online. So I'm going to do things a bit differently today. Ordinarily I generally play with the Eve's PSO patcher. Now it was brought to my attention that maybe some of the reasons that I'm having difficulty hitting enemies rather is because of that particular patcher. So with the advice of somebody in the chat, I was suggested to just go back to playing regular PSO version 2. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that with the Dreamcast and the USB GD-ROM. The trick to that is that in order to play version 2 without the Eve's image, you need to do a disk swap. You need to run the PSO Silverant patcher. So how do you do that? Well, I'm going to show you guys in a second. It's actually pretty easy. I was told by PC Wizard 13 that you can actually use the PAL UK version 2 disc, and you don't need to use the patcher. But I'm not going to use that for this particular game, only because I need to enter in the serial and everything like that. And I just don't really want to re-register the image just in order to show you this demonstration. I think this will actually be a much more valuable demonstration if you're ever using USB GD-ROM to play PSO, or if you're going to be using maybe the GD-EMU, which is comparable to this. But I'm going to show you how to do it real quick. So it's really simple. You only got to select the image that you want to play. So we're going to play PSO version 2, and then you select the patcher, and that's it. So let's just go to this screen here, and I'm going to demonstrate real quick how you do it in case anybody has any questions or wants to try it. So let's fire up the old Dreamcast, and we'll go to our familiar main screen. Now I haven't updated the firmware on the USB GD-ROM as of yet. I think I'm going to, but to the best of my knowledge, all it does is turn this blue screen to black, so not really of any value to me. So the first thing that we want to do is we want to go to online games, which is the directory that I use for all of my online games, and we're going to select Phantasy Star Online. So you see that I have version 2, and then I have the PSO patcher. So you would think that you would select the patcher first and then you would swap it out with PSO version 2, but that's actually not what you do. You want to kind of do it backwards. It's really simple. You'll see at the bottom there, it says select image for swap, press X button. So all you do is you just hit the X button like so, and then you go to the image that you want to start with. So you go to PSO patcher, hit A. We'll go to loader, bang, and this should jump us right to the PSO patcher screen. And after that, let me see if you can see yep, you can see the Dreamcast in that. Okay, so then you just run it like you would do a regular disk swap. It's actually quite brilliant. So it says, please insert GD-ROM. All you want to do there is hit open, let it open fully, and close it. And there you go. It's running the PSO version 2 image. So yes, we want to press start to load with all the patches. Start, yes. And it should jump right to the game without any hiccups. So let's just cross our fingers that we didn't screw up things too royally. Hey, looks good so far. Awesome. So yeah, that's all you have to do in order to run the patcher from the USB GD-ROM. You just make sure to select the image first, swap, hit X to swap, and then you select the patcher next. Let's just hit start, continue of course, and bang. There we go. All right, so let's just swap screens here real quick and get started. All right, what's going on in the chat, guys? All right, got a nice little crew started. Never played this game. It is a lot of fun. Pretty simple MMO, but you're always finding new things in it, which is what I find the most addictive part to it. I could only imagine playing it way back in the day when the servers were just filled with rooms and stuff like that, and you could play with hundreds of people possibly. Right now it's great, there's probably about maybe 30-40 core people that still play it, but for a game that is almost, what, it's 18 years old at this point, I believe. It's pretty impressive that there's still a user base that are interested in playing it. I mean, you don't really hear about that from many other games playing online, other than maybe you might see a couple of online channels for things like what would be a good example? Maybe Star Wars Battlefront 2. Hey, all just experimenting with a new connection method, not using PSO Eves V2 tonight, just regular PSO V2 and the patcher, swapping images with the USB GD ROM. Actually, pretty easy once you figure it all out. You can also use Code Breaker to force VGA, which is kinda nice. But you still have to load a burnt disk. Nope. Just the image. Oh, okay, so I think Enfilade is actually talking to somebody else. Alright. Save on the wear and tear. Okay, let's get into better view of this conversation and see who is down tonight. Chicken fried rye. Never heard of this player before, so let's find out what's going on. Anyways, I might be wrong. Yeah, so as a lot of you know, I think what they're talking about is playing burned images on your Dreamcast, and it's true. The issue with images is that if you use a GD-ROM disk, it's actually like 1.1 gigabytes, but if you're using a regular CDR, it's going to be up to 700 megabytes. So most images were compressed in order to fit on CDR. What that means is the laser is going to read in one spot more than the other, and then over time that will wear out your laser. So it's just something to be aware of, that's all. You guys done for the night, or thinking about another game? Okay, let's get a feel for what's going on. And clock oil for the rails. I use Fader lube. Seems to do the trick. I've had the same can since 2006. Mostly use it on my old music equipment. Fade lube for the CD rails. I fixed a turbo CD pretty quickly that way. It's all silicon based, so no conduct. Let's just go to a new space here. Conductivity. Alright, so did somebody jump into a quest? Not 100% sure. Okay, and also I have to apologize for the Alien Front Online game that I was playing. If you notice, there was like nobody in the chat. That's because I had the stream as unlisted you know, I was experimenting with a couple of image tests with somebody, and I forgot to make the stream public. So yeah, if you're wondering why you couldn't join the stream at that night, that's because it was unlisted, and I just, you know, played through and made it public afterwards. So yeah, typical me, dad brain kicking in, I guess. Okay, cool. Jaxer's in. Nice. Full house. Break out the maracas. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we're all alt characters. Ooh, doo, 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 doo. Okay, so let's see if there's a team started. Organized team, join team. Right now we have no one. Okay, so our friends here. Oh, did somebody quit? Did Jaxer EC? Huh, he left pretty quickly. Ah, gotcha. I know that the image he was using was causing some issues, but it could have been on my end as well. Has something to do with which EP we are using. Not sure what that is about. Okay. So we've got, oh, it sounds like Jaxer jumped back in. I thought I heard somebody burst. Oh, maybe not. Oh, there he is. Perfect. Cool. Hey, Dobbs, what's going on, buddy? Okay, real maracas crash PSO. Okay. Back. If they release PSO on Switch, most definitely. Now, is it re-releasing PSO proper, like the version that we're playing, or just another version of Phantasy Star Online? Now, I have played PSO Portable and PSO Portable 2. I was not a huge fan. And I have played PSO Universe for the PlayStation 2. Again, wasn't a huge fan. Didn't really like the way that you kind of had that sort of tactical RPG map element in it. Sort of took me out of it, especially when you're going to the lobby. Like, you didn't just burst into a lobby. You had to sort of scale on this very rail shooter type map, and yeah, I wasn't a huge fan of it. I didn't play it for very long, and I'm not sure. I played it well after the servers died too, so I'm not sure if that you can still play it on or not, online or not. What's everyone saying? Want me to start a team? Let's just jump in, see who joins. Organized team, great team, PSO version 2, and we'll call it UGB, and we will hit enter, and we will make it ultimate, and we will register. Okay, let's see who jumps in. I don't know about that, Dobbs. Who knows who's going to jump in? I think that we might have one person away from keyboard, but don't quote me on it. All right. First things first. Let's see what we need to take out of the bank. Now, what do we got on hand? Item. Equipment. Items. Okay, we got escape doll. Let's go check and see if we have any more. We need more trimates, and we've got a full gang of dimates. Nice. Okay, cool. And we're gonna try and boost up some of the power on our Heaven Punisher as well. Okay, organize by primates. Yes. Oh, cool. We get escape dolls and mono grinders. So let's just do that real quick while we're waiting for some people to burst. Hopefully they will jump into our game. Okay, item, equip. Heaven Punisher, thank you. And item, mono grinder. Bang. Okay, cool. So we got 2 escape dolls. We should be pretty good. Okay, let's just jump back to that weapon there. And maybe we'll just hit the forest while we're waiting to see if anybody else is going to jump into this particular quest. Bang, forest. Okay, let's see if we have any better luck attacking, or whether or not it was all kind of lip service. Okay, let's get going. Okay, let's find some enemies. Okay, perfect. Now, okay, cool. Jaxer's jumping in. Now, already, like, I was definitely not hitting enemies without being buffed or 100 plus before, so I'm already noticing a pretty big improvement. Okay, cool. F8 is joining, which tells me that yes, it was the Eve's PSO patcher that was causing the issues. Alright, good to know. Grabbing bank stuff, not a problem. Not a prob. I'm just running the forest till we get a full house. Okay, and as you might also notice, I'm not getting slaughtered on the first hit either. Okay, so this is great. This is this is actually kind of fun. I'm not just hitting for zeros and you know, tagging for XP while other people are actually grinding. I might actually be able to contribute to the game. Fantastic. Fantastic. I actually get to play. Okay, any goodies here while we're waiting for our friends to jump in? So Jaxer mentioned something about the maracas that he was using, the maraca weapons. I don't know if that has anything to do with why the game was crashing, but I know it very well could have. Okay, so while we're waiting for them, let's go to our mag Dreamcast. Oh, we can't quite do it yet. So yes, the patcher, the images, all that fun stuff. Why was it available? Well, I believe I downloaded the image via the Eve's PSO image on the now defunct ISO hunt. So as most of you know, these legendary ROM sites have been getting hit pretty hard, most of it proactively because of legal threats by, well, just Nintendo basically. Nobody from Sega or Microsoft or anything like that, any of those big heavy hitters, Sony, none of them have been threatening any kind of litigation against these ROM and ISO sites for posting images of their games. Now, I only really ever used those big ones. I never delved deep into kind of like the underbelly, as it were, of ROM sites or ISO sites. I did really enjoy ISO Hunt because it had a lot of hacks, stuff that I hope is not lost forever. It's really hard to tell at this point what is going to happen. I'm kind of hoping that maybe these sites decide to reopen again, and who knows, maybe they host out of the jurisdiction of, you know, whatever countries are suing them. Like, I'm not sure if it's Nintendo of America or Nintendo Japan that's doing all of these lawsuits, but You know, if they can maybe station a server somewhere where they can't be touched, that's an option. But again, I don't know enough about the legal issues behind all of this to fully make a have an idea on how they would circumvent it, other than you know, using some sort of torrenting system, because the torrents, that's the thing, like a lot of people want a quest. Yeah, I mean, like, you can download full sets of... Okay, let's hit the guild. Yeah, like, as most people know, you can still down full sets of pretty much every system, other than maybe some of the bigger ISO systems. Like, I don't think you can download a full set of PS2 ISOs, one large torrent. That would just be too large. But anything prior to, and even PS1 for that matter, but anything I think prior to, like, let's say Super Nintendo, you can get a full set that's less than a gig, and most torrent sites rather host that kind of stuff still. So if you're just looking to get retro stuff from, like, let's say the Super Nintendo and back, shouldn't be an issue. The issue is going to be where you want to get specific ISOs from, like, let's say ISO hunt for the PS2. Now, I don't want to have to sort through the entire PS2 library in order to find the games that I want. I want to just be able to download the single image and kind of move on. Hey, what do folks feel like questing? All right, let's wait to see if we get everybody here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, can we do it? Boom. Nope. We need one more party member. Okay, we'll wait for them to come on board. Yeah, so like I was saying, you can still get these full ROM sets, but a bit what ya thinking. But it was the convenience, and websites like Emu Paradise had a really nice interface too. It was really intuitive on how you were able to navigate the ROMs and stuff like that. They'd have a little splash page with some screenshots and a little blurb about it and a review and things. It was quite handy. Don't know some of these quests. Okay, I'll grab one. Can't be long. Okay, cool. Well, let's just do... I got at least 2 hours. Okay, well, let's just do a quick Towards the Future run and just get some XP under our belt. That sounds like a little bit of fun. Yeah, so Emu Paradise had a great interface. ISO Zone, it had a pretty nice little chat section and stuff like that, where people would comment and give tips on how to run some of the ISOs properly if you had any difficulty, because some of them they weren't as simple to run and burn as you might think. And the other cool thing about ISO Zone was they also had a lot of Dreamcast stuff, like emulator packs and emulator image discs and things of that nature. So you're able to this good, nice and quick, lots of XP. All right, let's just, how many of us on EP? I'm using good old PSO V2 regular. No Eves tonight. Yeah, it's kind of disappointing, and I really like some of the hacks and translations, like for instance Fire Pro Wrestling for the Dreamcast. You can get that in Japan, and you know, I've got a disc, but the issue is that it involves a lot of different commands, and a lot of those commands, they're all in, like, you know, whatever Chinese characters that they are. Like, I'm not sure if it's Mandarin or if it's Cantonese, but Regardless, it means that you're going to have a separate map beside you to kind of like figure out, unless you can speak the language, figure out what the characters actually mean. And it could be, you know, it could be a little time consuming and difficult and kind of get frustrating and stuff like that. So it's nice to have just a really easy image you can download, and it would have the English translation for ignorant people like me that want to play the game but don't understand the language. And you know, that stuff's gone temporarily. I think what they did was they took down the links. I don't think they deleted the file lockers, so there's a good possibility this stuff, again, like, it could come back at any time once they figure out how to hide everything properly. But when that's going to happen, I don't know. Now, fortunately, across many systems, I do have full sets of ROMs. Like Nintendo, I'm not worried about. Super Nintendo, I'm not worried about. Sega Genesis, I can't remember if I grabbed a full set or not. Turbo, I've got a full set. Lynx, I've got a full set. Game Boy, Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color, you know, Wonder Swan, all of that crap. You're like, you know, crap. They're good. They're good systems, good games. But all of those things, right? I've got all of that stuff. I'm not particularly worried. But am I the only EP? I suppose so. But what it means is that, if so, I'll sit out the dragon. Okay, cool. Well, that might actually make things a little bit easier. Okay, let's try it. Alright, so I will hit once and hold back then, just so we can get this over with. Okay, let's just make sure that I communicate the plan to my partners here. I'll tag and hang. Oh, and we are frozen already. Let's hopefully be able to break out of that. Alright. I don't quite understand what they're saying when they say, am I EP or not? Can emus play online? Well, I'm pretty sure you can with Dreamcast. Don't quote me on it, but I'm pretty sure if you use the Dreamcast emulator on your PC, you can also play online. I also know that there are different versions of certain games like Phantasy Star Online that are specifically designed to play on PC, but they are cross-play with Dreamcast as well. And actually with GameCube. The only systems that can't play nicely together are EP. Oh, Enhancement Pack. No. Oh, at the start? No. I didn't load the enhancements. Okay, so let's not tag, or let's not get too dirty here with this guy. Cool, he's down. Alright, I think I tagged him at least once, and I didn't die, so I should be able to get the XP. Here's the wishful thinking. Did we get it? Level 1 clear. No, I guess I didn't. Well, fuck me running. Okay, mood atomizer, dimates, yes. Monofluid, star atomizer. Okay. It's actually a different disc. Don't they load it on the front end of the server now? Now the enhancement pack I think they're talking about is you can play widescreen now, and I think you can also enhance some of the audio now. I haven't tried that yet, but you know, maybe I'll play offline and see if it's worth demonstrating. The widescreen effect, not sure. Jaxer might know about that. I know. Okay. You can now DL the EP directly from the main screen on when you connect. The widescreen effect is a little you know, it's interesting. It's not perfect by any means, but the way they do it makes it is kind of cool. So what they do is they end up expanding the background images, but the sprites stay the same. So because the sprites are the same, you don't get that sort of stretched out look, but in the background it looks stretched. It does look stretched out. So it's a bit, I don't know, it's a bit strenuous on the eyes. What EPs are not included? Bang, bang, bang. Yeah, so insane mode, okay. What is okay, maybe I'll DL it later. Okay, so that must be why we have such issues with the game crashing. If it's dropping enhancement pack only drops, that would make a lot of sense. So, okay, is this guy separated? Yes. Bang, bang, bang. And tag, tag, tag. So yeah, going back to what I was saying about Emu Paradise and you know, just how disappointing that's gone down is, yeah, that was also another site that it had a lot of homebrews, a lot of hacks, a lot of unreleased prototype stuff on it. It was quite unique. And unfortunately, like I said, that stuff is definitely not gone. They've definitely kept up their file lockers. They're there buried somewhere. They're just not making them accessible to the public anymore, which is fine. And I know this because in the Emu Paradise Facebook group, apparently if you go through your browser history and you were downloading a file but you didn't complete the download, you can still access the file locker through your history. So right now, what they're trying to do is compile a list of links of the file lockers through different people's browsers and just see how many they can preserve. Really, I feel at this point, since there are so many different options to find these ROMs and ISOs, you're better off just to start from scratch. Or, you know, I'm sure, I guarantee the systems operator has probably got a plan to run this stuff again. And all of this stuff has not been lost. There's no way that this was all just being held on one single server and they just, you know, pulled the plug, or they put a magnet to every hard drive they had and just said, okay, we're done. Because they weren't even threatened with legal action. They were afraid of being threatened with legal action, which is much different. They saw what was happening to some of these other ROM sites and they just didn't want to face the consequences. Now, I think Nintendo was asking for something like $150,000 for each piece of intellectual property that was being available for download, and $2 million for each copyright infringement of the Nintendo name. Again, kind of petty. Truth be told, I mean, I've been downloading ROMs since the BBS era. You know, like a long time. Back in the day, like, you know, the precursor to the internet, and you know, you would find different BBSs any manner of way. You go to one and they give you a link to a new one that's starting up, or you can run a war dialer, which is really unique. A war dialer would, you know, you set in your prefix number. So let's say you're in Toronto and it's 416, and then your suffix number would be, you know, 0000, and then you enter in your N number, which would be 416-9999, and your war dialer would run every single number, and it would run a test connection, and if it connected to a photocopier, or if somebody picked up the line and it was a dead connection, it would let you know in a log, and then with that log you were able to find out what ones were actually BBSs and what ones were just, you know, people's home numbers, or if it was a fax, like I said, a fax machine or something like that. And it's pretty interesting. I did find a few BBSs that way that were sort of long distance when you know, sort of hacking long distance was a thing as well. This is all ancient history. It's really kind of hard to put in perspective nowadays. Anyways, yeah, even back then you could still get ROMs. Like, granted, it was much later on in the BBS lifespan because ROMs are only really accessible in the really early 90s, and BBSs have been around since the late 70s at that point. So I'm digressing. All I'm saying is that in the last, what, almost 30 years of downloading this kind of stuff, I've never had an issue. You know, I found it somewhere eventually. You know, you just gotta be a dynamic person. You've just gotta kind of evolve. This kind of stuff was destined to fail. There was no way you were gonna be able to keep this stuff available for that long to the public so openly, you know, like there was bound to be a time when eventually they're going to have to pull the plug. And this has happened to a number of different sites that I've used in the past, and every time it happens I feel devastated, but you know, life finds a way, Dr. Alan Grant. You know, things move on, people move on, different sites start up and stuff like that, so I'm not overly worried. I can remember using Napster, and then when Napster went down, it was like LimeWire, and then I can't remember the other one. I believe it started with a K, but then you also had when people start using those peer-to-peer services. You know, I before that I'd use IRC channels and stuff like that, just trade files with people individually. And then when torrenting got popular, there were a couple of really popular torrent sites back in the day. There was Mini Nova, I think, was probably the biggest one back in the day. When that got hit, it was devastating. It had so many interesting files, but you know, you just move on. You know, Demonoid's been up and down quite a number of times and knows its history. The Pirate Bay is probably one of the longer standing examples of torrenting websites that seems to have still been able to, you know, overcome all the lawsuits. And even though two of the guys, I believe, went to jail for a couple of years, they, you know, it's still around. And also there's still peer-to-peer websites. You can't find them because they're not indexed by Google, but if you know where to find them, you know, they're great little websites, like icefilms.info. It's a great peer-to-peer file locker download site. You can get a number of different television shows and movies. Now, a lot of it's more mainstream, newer stuff, and when those lockers go down, oh well, they go down. But you know, it's up there. And the good thing about those file lockers too is that you don't have to worry about getting annoying emails from, you know, whoever your ISP is, saying that somebody's reported that you've been downloading illegal content, and you could risk, you know, reprimand from whatever. You know, that peer-to-peer stuff, nobody's following it. So. But it is disappointing. I just hope they do find legs again somewhere else and get it going. Nintendo definitely, I think everybody's made the argument that Nintendo doesn't really care about their intellectual properties, and it's only because of ROMs that things like retro collecting became quite popular, and things like the NES Classic were such a hit. Not a lot of people that were buying that system had the original system. Well, some of them did, obviously, but if you're a younger person, you definitely didn't have that system back in the day. You only played it through emulation, and then through that emulation you ended up either buying retro games or made the NES Classic one of the top selling consoles of last month, which is rather shocking when you think about it. But again, Nintendo doesn't really care. They've made so many bad decisions in the past with so many different things. It does not shock me that they're fucking up now. That seems to be what they do. And it is kind of interesting how I've really kind of, I can't say I was ever a Nintendo fanboy per se, but Nintendo was my first real console. I did have an Atari, so I did like the Atari back in the day. But I can remember going to a friend of mine's, what was his name? His name was Matt. He probably had to be 4 or 5 years old. And he had a game now, which is fairly mediocre, but at the time I thought was great, was Kid Nicky. And he had the light gun as well for Duck Hunt. I thought that was just a fantastic game. It was a fantastic system. And I remember later that year, it was Christmas, in I think 85 or 86, and my grandmother ended up getting us a Nintendo. We were blown away, and I had probably 5 games for 10 or 15 years. And then in the mid to late 90s, I ended up getting a lot of games for dirt cheap at garage sales. Much like some of the other people that have relatively large collections. Mine isn't huge. I've sold a lot also. I'm probably down to, in terms of NES carts, I'd say probably 300 carts, maybe, something like that. Maybe 350. I haven't counted in a while. But I've sold a lot. There's so much garbage on that console. A lot of people don't want to admit it, but it's true. A lot of filler, a lot of stuff you don't need. You'll never play it. But there are some really, really good games. The RPGs in particular, like, they are still very much playable. Legend of Zelda, as crude as it may appear to some more modern gamers, it's still a fantastic game to play. Really enjoyable. If you don't know how to beat it, it can be frustrating at times on how to actually solve some of the riddles, but when you do solve them, and I mean, feel free to use the internet for a resource, it is incredibly satisfying. Some of them are obviously not that obvious, and it's just better off to use a walkthrough at this point. I don't think anybody's going to hold it against you, but you know, it's a really fun game to play, and if you can get through some of those less obvious puzzles, which I fully encourage you to use a walkthrough for, I mean, by all means, just play through it, have some fun. Get completely disappointed with the ending. Okay, where are we going here? Okay, I guess we're not taking this guy out. I guess we're running straight ahead. Okay, let's just drop a freeze trap and make life a little bit easier for us for a short period of time. And let's just drop a confuse trap. Again, make life a little bit easier for us. Bang, bang, bang. And I think we've got some materials we should probably use up as well. The other thing I was thinking about lately is, yes, there's some talk about emulation and how it's not as easy to get as it was and blah, 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 blah. But I've also been hearing some talk from some people about YouTube burnout. And I'm certainly not burned out because I don't stream enough to be burned out. And I think that's a good thing. I've got 2 jobs, I've got a family, I'm quite content. I don't need to play video games every day, but I do see some of the people that are really trying to make it happen, and they're just not happy with playing video games. Like, I love PSO because I don't play it every day. I play it like maybe once a week, or if I'm lucky, twice a week. It's a fun game in moderation. It's fun to hook up with people. It's fun to stream it and show everybody what's going on, but I definitely wouldn't want to play it for a living. That would drive me insane. So, you know, I've been following some of these lately, just kind of in my off time, some of these people that have been complaining about being burned out, and yeah, this is where my age kicks in. It appears to be a lot of younger folks that are getting fed up with it all and the demand and everything. And like, you know, life was never easy. This is probably the easiest way to make money if you can do it. Like, yeah, it's a job like anything else. And you know, if you're going to be making $500,000 a month like that ninja fella does, I don't see why you shouldn't commit a lot of, like, it shouldn't be easy money. It should be hard money to make. But by all means, if that person's making that much cash and they're working 24 hours a day, or at least feel like it, it's a lot of money to make in a month, and it's not going to last forever. So hey, just make it while it's happening and move on. And you can do that for a year if you're lucky, and you will be set for life. Fuck. So basically where I was going with this is not so much that I'm concerned about those people, but it got me thinking about some people that sort of dropped off the map. You know, there's a lot of people that I used to follow on YouTube and various other social media sites that just ceased to exist, more or less. And some of them really abruptly, and I'd like to know why they're no longer around. So I'm going to start off with some people that I bet you probably have heard of and you probably haven't thought a lot about recently, but if I bring up the name, I bet you'll be curious. Well, yeah, what did happen to those guys? And it was a podcast I really enjoyed. Maybe not so much the video stuff. Some of them were okay videos, but overall I didn't really follow their YouTube presence, but I really liked their podcast. And that was Clan of the Grey Wolf, which did the Echo Screen podcast. That was Rue and Commodore. And those guys seemed pretty tight. They would do these live stream charity events every year, and a lot of people would watch and donate, and they raised quite a bit of money. And I was subscribed to their podcast, and stopped getting updates. I looked at it, and a month passed, 2 months passed, 3 months passed, and then I started going to their YouTube channel, and people started asking, like, is this a dead channel? And they never made an announcement. They never said anything. They just stopped making content. Again, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing to just kind of stop, because then you can jump in really at any time. But those guys were pretty popular, and I'm not sure if it was a falling out of personalities or if it was just people that got fed up with it all and just decided maybe this isn't for them. And other things happen too, you know, people get sick, people get hurt. Sometimes, you know, if you're a person with a family, it can be very difficult to juggle social media life and a real life and be a successful, you know, partner or parent. It'd be incredibly difficult to balance that kind of stuff. The only people I really see doing that nowadays are people like John Hancock, you know, whose wife has made it clear, like, she supports his hobby, so all the power to him and his wife, and his kids seem to get a kick out of it, and the guy appears to have a pretty level head. And even though he's got quite the games collection, I think since he's such a nice guy, he's got a lot of them donated lately. You know, picked up a lot of stuff back in the day, but seems to get some pretty wild donations, so all the power to that fella. But I guess it's some of the other people I watch that I kind of, you know, maybe am not so enthralled by anymore. Metal Jesus Rocks, I guess, would be an example. I really used to appreciate what that guy had to say, because, you know, he's an older guy, he had some history with Sierra and stuff like that. And some of his videos I didn't quite buy, but that's fine. But I kind of just fell out of love with a lot of his stuff. And you know what happens? I fall out of love with these guys when I watch their video about what their actual collection looks like. And it's not so much because they have such huge collections, and, you know, it's definitely not out of jealousy. You know, you can get that stuff and you got it at a reasonable price and you're not buried in debt, great. I don't necessarily think that's the case for a lot of people, but I could be mistaken. We'll get that a little bit later. But I remember him showing a video of his games collection. He's got a really nice room set up, but he's also got closets jam-packed with stuff. You know, it's just stuff. You're not even appreciating it. All these special editions, the boxes are just stuff that'll never see the light of day. I've been really decluttering lately, trying to optimize the space I have, and a big part of that is getting rid of stuff. Now you'll see me show off a couple of games here and there and a couple of little interesting things. The thing is that oftentimes I'll get it and I'll enjoy it for a short period of time, but then I'll kind of move on and I'll sell it, I'll give it away, whatever it is. You know, lose interest in it. Sometimes it's just the thrill of the hunt. I like to kind of hold things, but don't necessarily want to keep things, if you know what I mean. So yeah, there was a couple of guys like that where I was watching their videos and like, oh my god, you just have so much stuff. And Classic Games Room, another channel that I used to love. Mark has had a falling out with YouTube and with I think he's mostly sticking to Amazon Prime. Oh, fuck, nowadays. Oh, come on. Oh, I got the XP. Cool. But I can remember the different eras of his channel. I remember when he used to partner with another person that, what was the stuff that, it was CGR Undertow was the other person's channel. And he had a warehouse that he was renting, and that was pretty amazing. You know, it looked like they were really going to produce some pretty high quality stuff. I am surprised I got the XP. I died right at the end. Runes 3, boom, boom, boom. But yeah, and just seeing the struggle with YouTube and income and how his setup had kind of downsized and expanded, and at one point it looked really sad. It looked like it was just kind of crammed all into one room, and he didn't quite have the energy and pep that he used to have anymore. And I don't know, it all seemed just kind of sad to me in some way. And I don't know if that has a lot to do with me just moving on as a person. There we go. Let's use the Heaven Punisher for a little while. Maybe not becoming so interested in this kind of hobby as I used to. I definitely think that I don't put as much effort into it because, again, the thrill of the hunt is what I enjoyed primarily, and that has not been happening for the longest period of time. You know, I don't have to really tell you anything you don't know in terms of what it's like out there if you're trying to go to thrift stores or if you're going to yard sales. Like, it's brutal. And now with the online sort of like online yard sales and stuff like that, it's incredibly difficult to just find a good deal like you used to be able to, and you really got to be aggressive. There's quite a few of these thrift stores that I frequent quite regularly, or at least used to, and I've kind of just stopped going because there's people there that hang out there all day long, and all they do is, like, as soon as new stuff comes out, they paw through these bins, they paw through these trolleys, and by the time it hits the floor, there's nothing there that's of any real value to anybody else. Occasionally you might get lucky and find something kind of interesting, kind of something that somebody missed, which is almost what I always go for nowadays. But overall, you're not gonna find the things that you used to find in thrift stores. Like I've said ad nauseum, like I used to go to Value Villages, and every day, you can go there every day, any day. And if you wanted to get Nintendo games, they would just have walls of Nintendo games for all like $2.99 a piece. Some of them bundled if they had like a big haul in. And it wasn't a matter if they were available. It would be a matter of how many video games do you want to come home with? And you could pick and choose. And I would just pick and choose common titles. You know, I would probably, I don't know how many really rare, unique titles I passed up during the day, but none of that stuff was behind glass and a kiosk. All of it was just out there, systems and games and everything. It was a beautiful time. I definitely miss those salad days of that kind of stuff to some degree. Again, I'm definitely not nostalgic over this kind of stuff, but I do remember how it used to be. Seeing it now, like I mean, I would be lucky to, yeah, I think, when's the last time I've actually found a decent game out in the wild? I guess if I was to think of like that one time last year where I found a copy of Secret of Mana for $10 at a what was it called there? A Salvation Army. That was a good score. But I mean, how many times did I have to go to these Salvation Armies in order to find this stuff before I actually got it? Like, it wasn't like it was my first time going there and I just sort of randomly stumbled onto it. Like, I've been going to those places for quite some time and seen nothing for weeks. And that's kind of like the state of it. It's because I just don't feel like being that person that's just sort of staying at these places all day long. I kind of enjoyed being the only person in the store that was browsing through these kind of items, and you know, you didn't have to worry about people sort of like grabbing things out your hand or out of your cart. I've had that happen actually, where people have grabbed things out of my cart that they wanted. Like, it would be one instance in particular was somebody that grabbed a bunch of PS2 games out of my cart, and I didn't really care about the PS2 system that much, but it was still like, really, this is what we've come to. No camaraderie, right? So where was I going with this? I was going with sorry, I sidetracked a little bit. I was talking about the Echo screen and those guys there, and the accumulation of stuff and channels I've kind of fallen out of love with, and just kind of curious about what happened to all of these people. And you know, I used to really like listening to Ruin the Commodore, and they just kind of disappeared without any fanfare, and I don't really know what happened to them. And again, like those other channels that I used to really like, that I don't quite like as much anymore, but you know, I appreciate they exist, just because of some of the things. Like, they pulled back the veil a little bit. I've sort of drifted on and moved on. Okay, what's going on in the chat, guys? Sorry, I'm mumbling to myself, but I'm not paying attention to you guys. Oh yes, the Shenmue 1 and 2. Oh, nice! Gotta level up. Nice. Awesome. This is great. I really started feeling this way after one group that I belonged to. It was a Facebook trading group for DVDs, and I'm speaking of which, I'm probably going to show you guys some DVDs in a little bit. But a Facebook group I belonged to buying and selling DVDs. Now, primarily I was on the selling mode. I used to actually have a job for a while back in the early 2000s, like 2002, when DVDs were still a hot medium, and I would review movies for a website. The website was called chud.com. I think if you Google my name, you might actually see some of my reviews from that era of the internet still floating around, all text-based. But what would happen was these movie companies would just send me boxes of DVDs, and most of them are unplayable now, and a lot of them were distributed in a way where they were not enhanced for widescreen televisions. So let's say, for instance, I think the key example, the first example I noticed of that was the RoboCop Criterion edition. That had been discontinued for quite some time. It's advertised as unedited, and that used to be the only way to get the unedited version of RoboCop, but also in widescreen. And it is widescreen in theory if you have a 4:3 aspect ratio television. It was matted. It was a widescreen matte on 4:3. It's not true anamorphic. It's not enhanced for a widescreen. So the issue is if you play that on a widescreen television, you're going to notice bars on the top, bars on the bottom, but also bars on the left and right. It's nearly unwatchable. The only way to really, like, that's pretty much why the zoom feature was invented for most modern televisions, to get around that. But you're also losing a lot of resolution on those videos if you're going to blow it up that big. You won't have that problem with a lot of modern day Blu-rays. In fact, you just won't. They're all enhanced for widescreen television. But you know, I started getting rid of a lot of those DVDs. Like, there are movies that I never watched in, like, you know, 10, 12 years, and I was like, okay, time to get rid of them. Sold a bunch on a local GG group, and then this guy came up to me and said he had this Facebook group that he started, and he said I could join there to get rid of some of my other titles, so I did. And then, you know, it was having fun. I'd sell a title for a couple bucks, and, you know, sometimes meet up with people in person or just online, and whatever, just kind of chit chat and talk about horror movies and sci-fi movies and cult movies and stuff like that. It was fun. So one day I was posting a DVD for sale, and the same guy that told me to join his group wanted to buy it. So I set up a time. He went to meet me at my place, and we were chit-chatting, and finally we were ready to just kind of like seal the deal and move on. And he mentioned how he already had a copy of this movie, but he wanted to have a backup, and that he had multiple storage lockers that he was renting that he would put the stuff in. And that's when I got thinking, like, oh my god, this is not healthy to have multiple storage lockers of films that you'll never watch. So I think that kind of put me in purge mode. I started getting rid of a lot of titles for video games and films that I just don't need. Like, I'll never play them. I don't want to just have stuff for stuff's sake. I don't want to have an archive of music and movies and film, or music and movies and games that no matter what you pull out of the shelf, it's going to be a winner. You know, that's kind of my goal. I don't want to have any duds. I don't want to have something just for the sake of, you know, collecting just for the sake of collecting or being a completist. I'm well beyond that nowadays. Okay, yes. Okay, drop. But I can see how some people, you know, some people like to do that still. And unfortunately for me, I set up these scenarios in my mind that are probably not true of the kind of personalities that choose to do that. And you know, it makes me look like a bad person, but it's also probably heavily inaccurate as well. Okay, we should probably feed our mag. Yes, I missed the echo screen. Speaking of tangents and going off. But I was also looking at a couple other guys that sort of disappeared off the map. And even though I never watched this guy's content a ton, you know, I always kind of appreciated it for what it was. And that was Alpha Omega Sin. And like, just kind of out of nowhere, he stopped posting videos as well. I think that guy had a family. Okay, were we able to donate? No, I missed it. Damn. Stuff like that. But again, just kind of like left without any fanfare. And sometimes people do this for some period of time and then come back, but then they lose favor with the YouTube algorithm and end up having a ton of problems because of it, in terms of like gaining their audience back or having their videos accessible to the people that subscribe. So yeah, it can cause a whole host of issues if you choose to take that long period of time off. But I think the most nefarious one, well, was probably good old Spoony, who has like 1 million documentaries about him nowadays that get infinitely more hits than any of the streaming content that he's put up in the last year or so. Left for a number of years after having a bit of a breakdown, and then came back to do live streaming, and never really acknowledged any of the money that he took for this film that he was supposed to make or anything. I think he just kind of chalked it up to like, okay, I'm going to start from scratch. But yeah, I just kind of got to thinking about some of these guys lately, and also thinking about other mediums where I used to follow people, and even the medium doesn't really exist anymore. Like, I would go to message boards in the late 90s and early 90s, and I would make relationships with people, and some people I even met in person from these message boards. It was just what you did. There was really no other form of social media. And you know, those message boards just don't exist anymore. If you know, message boards in general, like I rarely see them, right? And going back to things like oh hey, let's grab a few of those just to say we did. Okay, okay, we got a few scape dolls. We should be good to go. It just kind of got me thinking to like the potential waste of time that a lot of this could potentially be. So the catalyst for all this was recently, I mentioned it in my last stream, but I suspect not a lot of people caught that, was that YouTube kind of out of nowhere decided to demonetize my account. They decided that my account was no longer eligible for monetization, which is fine. I'm still a partner. My channel's still up. They haven't killed my channel or anything like that. But what it does mean is that I've invested a lot of time into this channel, and I've invested a lot of time to some of the people that have watched it and kind of boosted it up and everything like that, and a bit of money on the back end in terms of like upgrading my streaming setup, and just how quickly all of that stuff can just kind of go away, and without my, you know, like I would really basically have no influence onto kind of preserving it. Like I'm at the mercy of a third party to keep this stuff around. So it also made me sort of really reflect on the advantages of having things like hard copies of certain things, or at least backups of things, particularly hard drive backups of stuff. Like if my computer fails, all those videos that I uploaded to YouTube, like let's say for whatever reason YouTube decides to pull my account, all those videos would be gone, and to the best of my knowledge, once they're gone, they're gone. You don't get those back. Shit. I think with EP, with EP, can you not? Oh wait, here we go. Perfect. Oh shit, is he right on top of me? Fuck. Okay, let's get out of here. Okay, let's just do a bit of sniping. We should be able to do pretty well here. In fact, I suspect that this version of Falls is going to be eliminated quite easily. No! Get out of here. And going back to that whole like brief sort of comment about Spoonie, like he had a lot of content that was up there, and all that stuff now is lost forever because a lot of it was stuff that he invested in video hosting websites that don't exist, like Blip TV. Like a lot of people that invested in Blip, they cannot get their content back. When Blip was going down, they gave you the opportunity to download your content, but I don't think a lot of people did. I think some people maybe didn't have enough time in order to do a full download of all their content, or maybe some people just thought that, hey, this will come back, right? Like, I mean, oh shit, okay. But there's no way they're gonna delete the whole thing. Oh fuck, you gotta be kidding me. Okay, let's see if we can bring everybody up if we can. Alright, that will buy me some time. Shit, what is going on? Why are we dying so much? This is definitely not good, guys. And we're done again. Fuck. Okay, where's my weapon? Damn, damn, damn. Okay, so we've got it on hand, so that's a good thing, but I don't understand quite why this guy's being so difficult. And we're down again. Fuck! Okay, well, let's just stick around. Maybe somebody can bring me back. I doubt it, but see what happens. And we are all dead. Nope, I guess somebody had a escape doll. Okay, sweet. Okay, can we do, and is it gonna make any difference? Can we do it? Bang, bang, bang. Bang, bang, bang. All we have is one diamate left. The odds of us... There we go. I wonder if I do come back, if it's even worth equipping my weapon again, just to... Shit. Just to kind of make sure I don't lose it. Fuck. Now I wonder if this has anything to do with the enhancement pack. I don't exactly remember balls being this difficult. For Christ's sake, this is insane. Okay, come on, big money. Is it just me, or is Falls insanely difficult for some reason? I wonder if this has to do with the enhancement pack, because Falls seems really, really difficult to take out this time around. No, I'm not going to... Okay, cool. Now... Oh, shit. Item. Fuck. I think I grabbed somebody's weapon. Shit. Shit. Grabbed. Damn. Grabbed someone's gear. Okay. Only 3 moons left. I don't know, guys. I don't think we're going to be able to make it through this one. Is it because I'm not using EP? I wonder if I should just hang back then. Okay, what's gonna happen next? Okay, so I'm just gonna grab my stuff and maybe just kind of keep it on hand if I don't lose it. I'm not particularly worried about the Meseta, but it would be nice not to lose my weapon. No more dolls for me. And I've been out for a while. Damn. Why is Falls so difficult? I'm really curious. Okay, so basically I'm dead on the next hit. Okay, unless somebody can give me a little bit of life left. Okay, cool. Well, I can at least... There we go. Bring some people back, which is kind of nice. I think what it is, we really don't have any strong support classes. I think I took yours. I'll settle up in Pioneer. Alright, what's going on here? Jesus Christ. Okay, and we're basically done. Okay. Jesus, I might as well just bail, like... So I guess with the enhancement pack, it's making falls more difficult as well. Because we've never, like, it's been a long time since I've played a game where I've had this much difficulty against falls, but it's crazy. And we're all dead. Damn. Is that it? Is that it? Yep. Fuck. Fuck EP. Fuck it. Right to hell. Oh man. Okay. Back to Pioneer. Then back to Falls to grab my money. Okay, do I want to return to Pioneer? Yes. Well, I'm glad I didn't equip my weapon, because in the event that we can't get our cash back from Falls, at least we don't have to worry about our weapon getting lost. Oh, man. Okay, I don't think we're going to be able to beat... Jeez. I don't know if we can beat them. Alright, let's get some Maseta out. Take Maseta, the full bank, why not? Let's grab a couple of odds and ends here at the shop. Yes, we're gonna need lots of those. Yes, lots of those. Hey, why not? And lots of those. Okay, while we're here, hey, why not? Let's just take our time and feed our mag that we've been neglecting quite some time now. Bang. Double up. And Diemate. And Diemate. Okay. Who earns? Okay, and let's drop the rest of our cash into the bank, just so we don't lose that as well. That was really disappointing. I had no idea that the enhancement pack made the enemies so much stronger. Like, that's almost... Okay, I guess I'll use some of my different items that I collected as well, if I can. Okay, bang, bang, bang. I wonder what it is about the enhancement pack that makes Falls and all the other enemies so much more difficult. Possibly it has something to do with the drops, and that's why. We gotta go back to Force 2. That's EP. UGB, blue pipe. Okay, cool. Yep. I'm just sulking. Don't pay any attention. All right, let's see what we can do here. Let's get our stuff back. Yeah, let's at least get our stuff back and see what happens. All right. Well, that is kind of disappointing. It would have been nice to finish off Falls. I lost about 350K. So, and need to split it. Okay, let's all jump in, guys, and get our stuff back. Let's get our gear and get out. Okay. Why can we not jump in? We're missing another player. Alright, well, I guess we just kind of have to wait for this person to show up. Hopefully they will show up. In the meantime, let's just not waste dead air. Guys, I always have different kind of pickups to show you, so... Shit, you need me. Yes, we do. While we're waiting for our friend Jax here. My ever-growing Lynx collection. My lovely Atari Lynx, which I hope to upgrade very soon. I have now picked up some more relatively hard-to-find games. I'll never find a Double Dragon for a good price, I don't think, but finally got Dracula, which is a really interesting sort of video novel type game. Also got Battle Wheels, which is a lot of fun, third-person perspective sort of death racer, and Gauntlet, which is a very interesting game because you actually play vertically. Now where's my controller here? So one of the more unique games for the system. Okay, I think this is mine. Okay, we bailing? Yep. Okay, let's do it. Let's get out of here. So, quit game. Okay, Everybody's getting out. All right. Bang, we got our stuff. Let's go back to the lobby. Okay, so I want to get out of here and jump back in and make sure that I settle up with a couple of people before we call it a night. Continue. Let's reconnect. 118. Look at that. Beautiful. Probably go to the dressing room at some point too and change our character. It's been a while. Okay, here we go. Okay, so back to what I was showing you. So the cool thing about Gauntlet is you actually play vertically. So let me just show you real quick how that looks. You put the cartridge in like so, and you hit the power button, and it's loading up. Select ship A. Let's go to Altamira and block 1. So the way it looks, actually, you play like so. Let me just get a not a lot of light. Like this? No, like this. There we go, just like this. You select your character. And kind of awkward because you got to move around with these buttons here. On the top, so it's a bit of an awkward little setup, but yeah, it's kind of a cool idea to have it as a vertical game, and as soon as I get the new screen for it, I'm sure I'll play a lot more of it. Lots of fun, guys, but I gotta jet. Man, EP kicks your ass. Nice drops, but at a huge price. Ever beat falls with EP? I hear ya. Ah, okay, a team of EP. So, if everyone was using EP, would falls be easier? Now, I suspect that if everybody was using EP, no, he would not be easier. We all have EP weapons. Ah, okay, that makes sense. Gotcha. Alright, so let's save our game. Character data saved. Brilliant. Okay. Okay, guys. Good game. I'll have to do more research on EP mode. Night all. Okay, cool. So we said our goodbyes. We tried to play. We got some XP. We had fun. Let's disconnect. We've saved our game. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I was a little bit disappointed that we were not able to complete the quest, but you know, hey, it is what it is. Yeah, I don't know really much about this EP mode. I have heard of it, but I'll have to see if the same patches you load at the front end are the patches that you get from running the disc, because if that's the case, I don't think my USB GD-ROM is going to allow me to switch 3 discs, so I might have to go from EP to Eves, and we'll see how that goes. But again, don't quote me on it. Unless Eves has EP, I think Eves actually had an EP image. I think that was the image I was using at one point, and I was told not to by Kurohime, but again, don't quote me on it. It was a really long time ago. Before we log off, guys, I just want to show you a couple of other little odds and ends I picked up. So I did pick up quite a few Blu-rays lately, and some of the heavy hitters that I got, which I got for pretty much next to nothing, was I finally got a copy of Never Too Young to Die, a great John Stamos, Gene Simmons action vehicle. This was a good find here because I'm a huge Dio fan. I think Dio did the best music with Black Sabbath. You know, Ozzy did some great albums, of course, but I don't know, something with Dio, Black Sabbath really resonated with me. And when I got to see Dio play with Black Sabbath about 10 years ago, that was quite the experience. Won't show you that one. That's really nothing too fun. But this one here, you can still get this on Amazon for next to nothing. It's a Region 1A Arrow release of Wes Craven's Last House on the Left, and this is like a deluxe box set. It's pretty nice. It's 3 discs. It has the soundtrack and everything to it. It's got a poster. It's got a book, and it's a pretty tight package. And right now they have it on Amazon for about 16 bucks. So if you're a big fan of cult horror exploitation movies and stuff like that, I would highly suggest picking that up. If you missed the stream, I guess if you're just watching the stream today, you probably heard me make some comments about YouTube demonetizing my account, and I got about another 20 days before I can reapply. So I've deleted a lot of videos that had copyright issues and stuff like that from the channel. That might impact some people, but I think overall, if you're just watching the streaming and stuff like that, it should be fine. So just, you know, if you saw me upload a couple of videos recently, sorry for yawning, and they were like full-length movies, those are gone now. I'm going to try to keep the channel as clean as possible and abide by the user guidelines and stuff like that. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. It was a great time. I really love the conversations we're having in the chat, and hopefully I'll see you guys soon, Saturday-ish, if everything goes well. In the meantime, rate, comment, subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the little bell icon if you want to see some streaming in the future and want to be notified about it. There's the donation link if you feel like throwing a couple bucks my way. It always helps to kind of upgrade the setup that I have. Don't really like to go into the black too much with this kind of equipment, but hey, it's always at everybody else's discretion. And yeah, hope to talk to everybody soon. Take care.